Yellow. Look at that loser sitting by himself. I'm gonna talk behind his back, and every time he walks by, I'm gonna make fun of him for being a loner. For being alone. I'm gonna make him feel more alone, more inadequate, and in doing so, by making this person's life harder, I'm gonna feel better about myself. Napoleon Bonaparte. You are a loser. Napoleon Bonaparte was a loner. For a large portion of his life, he just sat by himself. When he was going to school in France, he was a much poorer aristocrat. None of the other French aristocrats treated him properly. If anything, they kind of ostracized him because they had nothing in common with him. He was from a different part of Europe, and just by chance, he happened to make it into a more prestigious academy. But nonetheless, he was alone. Despite being alone, despite not fitting in, and despite being ridiculed early on in his age, he still believed in himself. He would still look at himself and think, there's something special about me. Some would call it narcissism. Others would call it feelings of grandeur. And as Napoleon Bonaparte grew and flourished into his position as an emperor, others would confirm his feelings of grandeur. He was a delusional narcissist to the pinnacle. And to be honest, the only way he could have become an emperor was if he was a delusional narcissist. If he did not believe in himself as much as he did, he never would have become as incredible as he did. But at the same time, if he was not a loner, if he was not ostracized, he would never have thought this way in the first place. Why? If he was constantly surrounded by other people on a consistent basis, he would think like them. He would think what they were thinking. He would be talking about how that other kid is a loser, how he's above everyone else. He'd be thinking the exact same thing his peers were thinking. He would not have formed his own thoughts. Because he was alone, he could detach his mind from the rest of the world and think for himself. And in doing so, he truly believed, after deep analysis to the core of who he was, he believed himself to be something great. Through hard work, taking risks, willpower, and belief, he became the greatest emperor Europe has ever seen. No one has ever done that to Europe. No one ever will do that to Europe. No one has ever conquered Europe like Napoleon has. Let's do a 360 here. Instead of talking about a conqueror who destroyed and pillaged to attain all he wanted, let's talk about an individual who brought our world to life. An individual who set the tone for modern civilization. Pretty much everything we have today would not exist without this man. Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla once said, "Antisocial behavior is a sign of intelligence amongst a world of conformists." It is okay to be alone. In the eyes of the greatest inventor of all time, or at least one of them, I'm sure Leonardo is up there as well, but for the most part, it's safe to say Nikola Tesla probably was the greatest inventor. He said, if you want to know the secret to invention, the secret is to be alone. It is okay to be a loner. It is okay to be a loser. That is where champions are born, ironically. Through failure, you experience success, in the words of Michael Jordan. Through being alone, you captivate the world. Dr. Seuss was an introvert who spent much of his time by himself. Dr. Seuss literally had no friends. He was just stuck in a quiet corner with a vision to just contribute good to the world. And as a result of this, he created books that were inspiring, captivating, entertaining, but at the same time always had a positive message. Always had a message for you to learn and grow from. If you feel alone today, know that there were many greats before you who felt the same way you're feeling right now. And it doesn't mean you're inept. It doesn't mean you're worthless. Because you can detach your thoughts and think for yourself, even though it's painful, even though it hurts. Because you can do that, you have attained a power few will ever experience. The power of viewing the world through your own lens. Conor McGregor is a charisma machine. His charisma is felt throughout the world. He's the biggest name, not just in MMA, but in sports today, fighting at Madison Square Garden. And even if you consider his crew, it's very small, it's very tight-knit, it's very compact. He doesn't have very many people he trains with. He's very loyal to the people he trains with. But guess what he's doing when he's not training with his partners? He is alone, training by himself. As quoted by an interview from the closest person to Conor, Dee Devlin, his girlfriend, and maybe one day wife. She said that Conor, for a large portion of what he does, he's just throwing punches by himself, watching videos and visualizing. In that solitude, he's utilizing his mind to aspire to greater heights. In the time that he's alone, after he has absorbed the knowledge he requires from his teammates through osmosis, he spends time alone, visualizing, throwing punches in solitude. And through it, refining that vision more lucidly. If you're always training with other people, if you're not investing time into solitude, you will simply end up like everyone else. Even if those people are amazing, if you're just learning from other people opposed to just exploring the world with your own thoughts, you'll be more and more incredible like them. But you'll never be incredible like yourself. Only through solitude will you be able to find that lens that lets you peer into who you truly are. As much as it hurts, as uncomfortable as it is, that solitude, it's freaking painful. It kills you. You age faster. It's like the hyperbolic time chamber for Goku. As much as that solitude is painful, through that lens you cultivate, you start to see the truth as a reflection of who you truly are. And that's when you truly get to grasp the world with your own two bare hands. In that solitude. So, loser, loner, the kid I laughed at every time you walked by. Maybe you weren't such a loser after all. Maybe you were more incredible than anyone could have ever imagined. Peace!